And welcome back to the 12th man. This is the Liverpool special. Delighted to have two guests joining me, two top Liverpool fans. Really looking forward to this one. And we are live. He's on 350 grand a week, and he's literally doing live streams on Twitter during a game like it's embarrassing.
It's madness, like, so much noise out there getting free something fix it, not even
So only one quick start for me, and that is I'd like to hear Sunday the one on Saturday. My opinion is like the game of Premier League every Well, lads, the time has come. It is time for the Liverpool special. Delighted to have Calum Quigley, one of our resident guests, on massive Liverpool fan, and I'm also delighted to welcome my uncle Mark to the show for the very first time. Probably the biggest Liverpool fan I've known for my life. So it's great to have you on the show. Boys, welcome. I'm sure we're going to get through a lot. We've got a comment already. There's going to be plenty involved in this tonight. Most give us a watch later on. Chelsea semi-final, Istanbul later. That. Well, boys, just going to start off with the debut man himself, Mark. How do you explain Liverpool's season? Obviously, it started so well, top of the table, at Christmas Day. Everyone thinking that despite all the injuries, that there was still a possibility they could go on and win the league and retain it. Probably would have been up there with the greatest achievement of all time. You would also, even if they had a finished top four, it would have been a great season. But it's obviously went pear-shaped since Christmas. How do you explain that, Mark? Could you foresee this coming at any stage at all?
Obviously not. Couldn't foresee it coming at the start. With Liverpool, you were expecting, hoping, dreaming that we were going to challenge again, obviously. But as you say, top of Christmas and the wheels have just completely come off. The reason being, that's a $1 million question. We need an answer today. But at the minute, I'm going to start off with injuries because they lose the rock of your team, Van Dijk, and then Gomez, and then Dundee Matip. People say that's all right, but the defence hasn't been a problem. But that's because seasoned professionals like Henderson and Fabinho went in and will do a good job on there. Now, this isn't an excuse, but it's just that's taking serious good players out of your midfield then, which then leaves you struggling in other areas. Now, as for the front three, they're world beaters, fantastic players. As to what's happened, I can't really put. It's hard to say. Are they burnt out? Are they?
It is difficult to say. There's no dead end reason why it's happening. I think it's a number of things that's happening. Calum, look at it right. These are top on Christmas Day. Only 4-1s in 15 games since. 6 home defeats in a row. No one at Anfield in 8 games after being unbeaten in 68. what's especially at home? Why is the home form derailed so much? Only one goal and then games, and it was a penalty against Man City. So why do you think there's a lack of creativity? There's loads of things you can look at, but what for you is that main reason for you?
At the minute, probably because Trent and Robertson's output he dropped down, like, and then because of that, there our midfield, we all know what anyway. That our midfield's not set up. The attacker create chances. They're always there. They're always there. Like Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho. The usual midfield is as they cover Trent and Robertson. So once their output has dropped down, we have no other goals really coming from midfield, and then there's no output going into the front three, so it's dropped off big time.
My dad saying you need tissues already. It feels like a very emotional show. The rise and fall of Liverpool almost feels like a few months, but your son's also run Istanbul 7 times. We're going to get that later on. There's a possibility that that could still be a great season for Liverpool. But
See,
we were saying, Mark, about the 4-1. The 4-1s have actually been four great ones. Take out the Sheffield United away game. They've went away to West Ham and won, which not a lot of teams have done this year. They've went away to Spurs and won. They've went. There was a couple of other ones on it. There was a couple of good ones. Wolves away was a great one, and the other one was.
Passed them away.
There was loads of good victories on there. Away from home, it's been the home form that's been very very concerning, and the fact that they've see if you go through the home games, right, that they've lost, bar the Burnley game, which they didn't play that well, but they were very unfortunate they lose their penalty, and Burnley never had a snuff in the whole game. The other games they were well beaten. Chelsea, very lucky they only lose 1-0. Brighton probably deserved it on the day. Fulham deserved it. Everton outplayed you. There was a lot of bad defeats in there, and it's led to some discontent among the fans. Mark, so where are you at the minute? Are you still firmly behind that Klopp's the man to lead them forward, and that any sort of knee-jerk reaction just needs to be wiped out right away?
Klopp is the man. Like, just going slightly back, you've got, what was it, 68 games unbeaten. That's a serious record. Like,
of course, that's the man.
That was always going to go, and it just took the one, and then I think the heads went down. 1 turned to 2, 2 turned to 4, 4 turned to 6. And there was a lot of discontent, a lot of anger, a lot of, if the stadium had been full, you would have heard a lot of discontent. But as on Klopp, for me, undoubtedly, I'm in a lot of group chats with a lot of people, and it's ridiculous.
We're going to look at Klopp and Def a lot more. Calum, obviously Anfield everyone talks about it being this great stadium, and the atmosphere it creates, and it's very difficult to go there and get results as an away team. Obviously, where I stand with it, right, is see if this was happening all season, you could possibly put it down to the lack of fans, right? But the fact that Liverpool were top of the league at Christmas, and the fact they beat Leicester at home 3-0, Wolves at home 3-0, Arsenal at home at the start of the season, they beat Spurs at home. They've had some good results at home in the first half of the season, so you can't really blame it all on fans. I do understand the reasoning behind if there was fans in the stadium, they might not have lost 6 at home. I get that totally, right? But I still think there would have been defeats in there. The likes of the Chelsea game, for example, they were totally outplayed. But why has it become such an easy place to play over the last 2 months? Because I looked at Fulham, that last game against Fulham, for example, they went there with full of confidence, whereas maybe 2 months before, they'd have went there and go, oh my God, we're going to Anfield today. It almost felt that they played with confidence, and Liverpool were the team that were feared to play them, obviously because of they had lost 5 in a row before that, so they had that sort of that bad atmosphere hanging around the club. So for you, what's the main reason why they become so easy to play against at home?
At the minute, well, obviously you can put it down to a burnout as well. We've been playing 100 million hours, Gary Neville said, for 4 seasons now. But if you're isolating them 6 games, I think it's mainly down to a lack of confidence. Teams are going there now thinking they're, as you said, it's not a Liverpool old where you're going to Anfield and it's a fortress. Obviously, as you said, the fans have played a part. We wouldn't have lost 6 if the fans were here. But mainly, I would say it's a lack of confidence. The players aren't going out. They don't believe in themselves at the minute. So they don't.
There's a wee bit of bite back in the comments here between my dad and young Mark as well. He's telling them to keep the tissues ready for the Man City game. I was just saying there, Mark, that 6 defeats in a row at Anfield, right? A lot of discontent among the fans. do you think the Champions League is possibly the way to get the fans back on side? That they've got, if it was just a league left now, the season could end on a whimper. The fact they've got the Champions League, there's still a possibility for a special end of the season, and the fact it's Istanbul, do you think it's almost not we don't want to get too excited for you, but do you think there's a wee bit of a something in the stars that says, this could be Liverpool's way of turning it all around?
See, just talking to other people, you're right. It could be a saviour.
You know what? Put it this way, right? See, every time I say the word Istanbul, Liverpool fans just get goosebumps.
It could be a saviour. It could be a serious bad year. You know what I mean? Through all sorts of injuries, bad performances, decisive management at times. And the fact that they're on the Champions League. A lot of supporting Liverpool. 30 years. Do you know what I mean? And I turned off the second half of the Fulham game because I just knew it wasn't going to get any better.
Yeah.
Just knew. I think the lineup from day one was just a wee bit disrespectful to Fulham. Although I think the team that was selected that day should have won. I think that could be a wee problem with Liverpool's because it seems to be you can't rest top players. You have to play your first 11. They won.
Big time. And you know what? We've touched on a few topics. Klopp, the sort of what he's doing at the minute, the Champions League, the future is all going to be our main topics tonight. But the first topic, so I've just sort of touched on that. I just want to give you a flavour of what's coming up. But the first topic I do want to discuss is the current season itself, right? So we were saying there, right? The team itself is a team that is aging. It's an aging squad, okay? And I remember watching Monday Night Football maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And Jurgen Klopp once said that his gegenpress was better than any number 10 he could sign, right? And they've also sold Coutinho since, not really brought on a like-for-like replacement. Do you think it's time, Mark, that he revisits that statement? That they've had such a good run at playing his way that they need... I'm having... Seriously, sorry. Oh, no.
That they need.
Sorry, lads. 1 second. I just saw him popped up on my screen there. They had such a good run on it that they need to revisit that, and they need to bring in a number 10 because if you see in these home games, they've lacked creativity. Only the one goal. And they look at, and people are blaming Salah and people are blaming Mane, to be fair, but they're not really creative players. They need to get service. And they haven't, you can't really say that, all right, bar the Leipzig game where they missed loads of chances. But in them home games, they weren't missing one-on-ones, they weren't getting gilt-edged chances. Do you think that they need to change their system and their style of play, Mark?
You see, this is what's worried me. 4-3-3 is grand when you're winning, but see refusal to change it and playing a high line when your defence just doesn't really add it. There was just maybe a stubbornness. Let's say do not change it. As for a number 10, I think when start of next year, when Fabinho's playing his role and you let Thiago loose in the middle, he will be deadly at creating, putting balls through. But again, I looked at it there. He's 29.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about, Calum. Right? You've got Thiago, 29. Firmino's 29, or he's coming 29. Salah, Mane, they're all around that 29 age. Henderson's in his 30s now, I think, is he?
I just looked at it there.
Van Dijk's 29, is he? 28, 29.
It'll be 30 by the time he comes back.
Wijnaldum, as obviously his contract could be going.
He's 30.
So it is an aging squad. Do you think that, although the injuries have played a part, do you think that the fact the squad's aging could also play a part, Calum, that this squad can't do what Klopp wants anymore? Now, they're not old men, we're not saying that, but the fact they've had so many years under Klopp as well, that it's been a rigorous schedule, a rigorous press, the rigorous work. Everyone's all. I think sometimes people do be very harsh on Liverpool when they say they're just a hard-working team. They've got loads of quality, they've scored some great goals, but they do work very hard off the ball as well. And the fact that these players are getting old, the fact that they've won the Champions League, the fact they've won the Premier League, they haven't got much more to achieve at Liverpool unless they were to do it in the same season or were to go again. But it hasn't really happened this year. Do you think it's time to break that team up, or even just maybe bring on a couple of younger players to fit Klopp's way of playing?
I think it's a bit of an overreaction to say they break the team up. Like they've had one bad half of a season after 3 great seasons, so I think that's a bit of an overreaction. But I do agree that we need more younger players on now because, as you say, they are an Asian squad, and I do agree that we need to freshen up the midfield because, as I said earlier on, Trent and Robertson's not having the same output as they did the last couple of seasons, and that they're just getting found out now.
Yeah, Mark, from chatting to me. One of my favourite players in the Premier League for the last few years has been Trent. Massive fan of him. Love watching him. Right foot, left foot. It's not just what he gives going forward. It's his overall play. He can switch the ball. There was a goal against Man City last year. I think the second goal. He set up Salah's. The attack switched. I think he switched it with his left foot out to Robertson. And Robertson put the ball in for Salah's goal. Just real quality. Almost David Beckham. Like the way he has that technique. He's had a... Sometimes it's unfair because he's a victim of his own success. He's had such a great 2 years that, eventually he was going to have a dip. But he's had a major dip, and you've seen this week he's fallen out of the England squad, which I believe is very harsh. I think he's a better player than Kieran Trippier. I watched the San Marino game the other night, and Trippier played, and he even looked like he was struggling to play against San Marino. So I can't see why Trent isn't on the team, but that's also going to be a knock to his confidence. Do you think that Trent's just suffering in a poor team at the moment? The fact that they're so down in confidence, it's not helping Trent. Or do you think that Trent's form's been concerning since sort of maybe last year, the back end of last season?
No, I wouldn't blame anybody else or anybody else in the team. It's see the role that him and Robertson play at the back. It's relentless too. It's up and down constantly and constant. And there's nobody really to come on. This is the problem I think with Liverpool and squad depth. There's nobody that really can come on over 2 or 3 games and let him have a break.
Yeah.
Any game he tried to leave him out or he's had to bring him on, or he's had to, or he's been away on England duty.
I think this is the problem, Mark, that Liverpool have. They only really have one way of playing, and he's seen against Fulham, right, when Williams come on. He's a decent young player, but he's not Trent, and Liverpool rely on a Trent. Liverpool rely on a Robertson. That's why you haven't seen Robertson rotated too much.
Yeah.
They do rely on individuals at times. They play the rules that they do, and it is a great team when it works together. But when it's not all on the same sheet, I think they do struggle. You seen in them games when Trent and Robertson weren't firing on them crosses, there was a lack of creativity. Martin Morris just fired on a comment here. Come on, boys, Salah, Mane ain't creative. Fair enough. Not the best this year. 29 is an old age. They're not. He's just feeling. You know what? Martin's just feeling a bit older now. He had his birthday, another birthday passed by. They're trying to defend all these players now in their late 20s. But the current season, Calum, right? They're 7th in the table. They're above Everton, just on goal difference. They have a game in hand, so you can nearly enough say they're 8th in the league. If everybody had played the same amount of games, they'd be 8th. I think, what did I say? 13 wins, 7 draws, 9 defeats. How much of a dip? Obviously, I think sometimes as well, people do get carried away with the whole dip thing, right? Don't be looking too much at points. I think even if Liverpool already have another good season and won the league this year, they probably wouldn't have got 99 points. I think it was only Man City got more points than Liverpool, 100 points one season. So it was a great tally set. But I think you look at more at league position. If they're 7th, 8th in the table now, they've dropped 7 or 8 places. How much of a concern is that for you, Cam, and how difficult now for you is it to get back to that top?
Well, I think it's unfair because of the injuries that we've had. Obviously, it's a combination of things, but any team who lost their 2 best centre halves or 3 of them, all senior centre halves, and having to move your midfield and all, I don't think near enough. Probably Man City Man City is the only team that would have been able to cope with it like we have. I think most teams would have been the bottom half if they had the Leaf experience this year. But I think we're only 5 points off Chelsea, like, and they're 4th.
You say that, Cam, right? You say that you cope with it, right? And I do think he's did for a time, but he's just 7th, 8th in the league now, roughly, right? 5 points off Chelsea. And he's had such a good, healthy lead over a lot of teams that, only for that good start, he could really be mid-table. He's only a few points ahead of Villa and Arsenal, for example. So I don't think he's coped with it that well. I think he's aren't in a relegation battle, fair enough, but no one expects Liverpool to be down there. I still expect Liverpool, with all the images, to still be top 4. I didn't see them finishing outside the top 4, to be honest. And even if you looked at them run of games, they haven't won at Anfield since they beat Spurs before Christmas. That's how long ago it is. Nobody would have envisaged losing 6 games in a row at home. And I think Jamie Carragher made a comment, right, that although they've had injuries, does it justify losing the 6 games at home? Because even bad Liverpool teams under like Sir Roy Hodgson and Kenny Dalglish didn't lose 6 games in a row at home.
Well, Kerry, that's a fact I didn't know until I went, because me and Marky discussed it, and I said, boys, when is the last time this has happened?
It's never ever happened, is it?
It's never ever happened. That's how long ago I knew, because in my lifetime I never seen it. And no matter what, there's no excuse for losing 6 games in a row at home. Not Liverpool. I'm not saying Liverpool's any, but you know what I mean. Any manager that loses 6 games in a row at home, the way the Premier League's ruthless at the minute, could lose their job very handy. Do you know what I mean?
The mark by Rockshore for the 12th man. He's like drinks. They're all out of night. He's on the fire line.
Any viewers we reckon, Gary?
See, to be fair, right? Positives, right? If you're going to look at positives, they've 9 games left. As Calum said, they're only 5 points off Chelsea. 5 points doesn't seem like a lot, but the way Chelsea are playing, it is quite a gap. For Liverpool, they finished in the top 4 mark. They're probably going to have to win every single game, right? Because Chelsea can still afford to lose. If Chelsea were to lose 2 games now on Monday or 7, Liverpool would have to win all 9 games. They finish 4th. That's because they don't play each other, so they have to. Liverpool haven't got it in their hands. They need other teams to take points off Chelsea, for example. So, is that how even with them 9 favourable games? I think they've Arsenal after the Easter break and they've Man United towards the end, but they have got favourable fixtures on there.
Aye.
So, do you still think top 4 is a possibility, or is it a massive ask?
It's a massive ask, as you say. Just looking at it now, for me, maybe pushing it, they can lose 1.
Yeah.
I'll let that be away to Man United, right? Maybe I have 27 points. They need 24 at least. I'm just looking at, Chelsea have to play City, Arsenal, Leicester, West Ham. There's going to be points dropped along the way. Yourselves have to play United, Everton, Leicester, but 5 points.
I think, you know what, Mark, Calum as well. I think, just coming to you, Calum, do you think that they're on a situation where they can't really lose it? They can't really drop points. If they were to Chelsea play West Brom now when we come back from the international break, Chelsea won that. You're usually going to be playing Arsenal with an 8-point difference. If you don't beat Arsenal, do you think that's probably it?
Maybe, because the problem is all the teams in the top 4 aren't dropping points. United's not dropping points. Leicester doesn't. Well, maybe, but Leicester's the only team you could see dropping out at the minute. United and Chelsea don't they're not going to drop out it, so we're relying on other teams now dropping points and then mix that in with a Champions League run as well. It's going to be a rough one.
To be fair, I looked at Leicester. Leicester have quite a difficult one. They've got to play, I think their next 2 games is Man City and West Ham, and then their final 3 is Chelsea, United and Spurs. So Leicester, and the fact they're still in the FA Cup could maybe, but again, I still think they're clutching. I think that Liverpool and Spurs, even Spurs, who are 3 points behind, I think they're probably going to have to win nearly every game. And that's going to make it very difficult when you've got Champions League on there. And add to that the fact that Liverpool haven't really struck, even when you're top of the league. I think these were very similar to Spurs at the start of the season, where I don't think either of us were stringing loads of ones together. But for every 5 games, we had been 1-3 and drawing 2. We weren't losing. I think Liverpool's second defeat of the season was Southampton in the new year. So they only lost 1 game up to Christmas. But there was draws on there. So I do think it's going to be difficult for Liverpool to string 9 ones together. Add to that, they've got United on there and Arsenal on there away from home, which is going to be hard. Plus, they've got the Champions League games, which is going to be their priority. I do think Champions League is going to be their number. I think to get into the Champions League again, your best chance is going to be by winning it. And that's where we're going to go next, lads. We're going to try and keep it positive before we come back to a wee bit more negative. But Champions League draw last week, Mark, woke up Friday, you would have seen that the possibilities of playing Man City, Bayern Munich, even the likes of PSG. You say to me you wouldn't want to play PSG because not that they're a great team, because of the pace they have up front with Mbappe and Neymar and Di Maria. Calum's just dropped out there. He's had enough. But you see the draw coming out, Madrid, and then you have Chelsea or Porto. Assuming it's going to be Chelsea, it's not an easy draw, but were you more than happy with how it panned out?
I said before the draw, I says, if Liverpool can stay away from Man City, if they can stay away from City, I think they can get to the final. That was before the draw was made. Don't get me wrong, that's no disrespect to anybody else that's in the draw, or, because everybody on it can win it. Chelsea in the next round, if we beat Madrid, it's a favourable draw as well over 2 legs, That no disrespect to Chelsea, but they're well drilled at the minute, but there are no world beaters on there. Liverpool have experience, they've been 2 out of 4 finals, I think that's a good draw. I was fairly happy with the draw, and as I said before the draw was made, I think if they stay away from City, they can get the final.
Kieran Preston saying good stuff, lads. He's breaking it. He's on next Friday night with Doc, previewing the Arsenal Liverpool game. Martin saying, do you believe you can win the Champions League? So, Kel, we'll come to you. We were just chatting about the Champions League, just to answer Martin's question here. Mark was saying he was the main one he wanted to avoid was Man City. Obviously, he's avoided Bayern Munich and PSG as well on that side of the draw. Were you more than happy with the draw? And do you think that there's a chance they could win it now?
I think from a Liverpool standpoint, you probably couldn't have picked a better draw, or maybe Porto. So 100%, we have every chance now to have a run to the final. Like I don't watch too much Real Madrid, but what I have seen in the Champions League this year, they're not great. Like so, I think both teams will be fancying their chances against us, and we'll be fancying our chances against them. And then if they get in the semi final, whether it be Porto or Chelsea, you still have to fancy yourself in over two legs, and then a one-off game. And if you get to the final, it doesn't really matter who does. It's one off.
Judging by what you were saying, right? You seem not very confident, but you seem like he's believe he's come on it. And even the comments coming on from Alexa Martin here, I think he wouldn't be asking that question if he didn't think it was possible. Do you think the players believe they come on it? Do you think Klopp at the minute can believe they come on it, Mark? Do you sense there's still belief in that squad that they can go on? Maybe the Champions League is it's different to the league, and that they'll not be worrying too much about the form. They'll look at this and go, it's a different competition. We're in the quarterfinals now. It's an even keel. There's every chance we can still win it.
You see, to see the league position where they're sitting at the minute, don't get me wrong, they haven't wrote that off and they're going to fight to the very death. Just see, because the Champions League's there, it's not a fallback, but it's something. Even the last round against Leipzig, they looked a better team, they looked more hungry, they look as
I think the difference with the Champions League as well is, Mark, it's in your hands. You don't need, you can win that yourselves. They finished in the top four. You need Chelsea to slip up and West Ham and Spurs and all these other teams that are above you. So, Liverpool could won their last 9 games, and they can still not finish fourth. Chelsea could win all. If they won their game in the Champions League, they're going to be champions. So, do you think that itself gives you confidence, Calum?
Definitely. You have to have confidence. I think it's more like a mentality thing as well. Like, give them a break from getting outplayed every week at Anfield. Knockout competitions always different. I think it's just more a mentality thing as well. I think they are more confident and they have the experience in Europe as well. So obviously a final and then a Champions League and then obviously Atletico knock us out. But they've experience there, so I think they do believe in themselves at the same time.
We talked about injuries, right, guys, right? And I do, as I said, I understand when people are saying about it in the league as well. Maybe not so much because of the way he's played in the first half of the season, but in this I do get the injury thing, that the fact that Van Dijk's going to be missing and Henderson's going to be missing, your two leaders in the pitch, Mark. How much of a loss psychologically, mentally is that if they do get the, if they're on a stage with Madrid now and they have to manage the second leg, if they go to Madrid, for example, and get a 2-1 victory and they have to try and manage that game at home, how big of a loss is them too? Not just their ability on the ball, but their ability in the dressing room, their ability on the pitch. They make sure that they get through that. Do you think that's a massive loss?
That's a massive. You see, and I think, going back to the Premier League again, just quickly, that's a massive loss of confidence for the whole team in general. Looking at what they're going to be coming up against, and the Premier League's tough every week too. They get that far, you would have loved them two to be on the team. Do you know what I mean? Because that would have really, I think that 100%. I would have sat here and says, "Yeah, we're on for this." If we had them two, but again, if we can get to them two lads at the back, Phillips hasn't put a foot wrong. If we can get them playing together, the formation yourself. They've changed the back pair so many times now. I can't remember. And
it's going to be very difficult. That's why I think up against. And this is the thing that people are getting carried away with as well, Calum. For me, right? We talked about. I think Mark said it earlier on, young Mark, in the group chat to us, that people are writing Liverpool off, and I still think that's dangerous to do because Liverpool can turn it on. They're still performances in this team. Whether or not they can sustain it over 4 or 5 games is another question. But if they get to that final, I don't care who they play, they're going to have a great chance. Even if it's against the Man City, who've never been there before. Liverpool have won it a couple of years ago with them players, so that's going to be another thing too. But the only concern that I have for Liverpool fans as well at the minute is they're getting carried away with not playing Man City or Bayern Munich. They're still up against the Madrid team and Madrid haven't been firing, but I think Madrid will be looking at this as well as a favourable tie. You might not hear that, but I think they'll look at it and go, Liverpool's form's not great. We've got a chance here. If Madrid had been playing Man City or Bayern Munich, they might have been shitting themselves, for example. So I still think, and then the fact that they might have to play Chelsea in the semi-final, again, it's not Man City or Bayern Munich, but again, Chelsea are unbeaten in 14 games under Tuchel. They're not conceding goals. If you look what they did against Atletico Madrid over 2 games, Liverpool struggled last year against Atletico Madrid. So Do you think, Mark, that some Liverpool fans just need to rein it in a bit? That it's not as easy as people are making out, and that to their credit, I think they are just so happy they haven't got Man City or Bayern Munich. But you still think that they have to be realistic, and it's still going to be very difficult to get past Madrid and Chelsea.
Aye, 100%. You know, I'm sure Real Madrid is as happy at getting Liverpool as we were at getting Madrid. Do you know what I mean? Liverpool, the way they're playing at the minute, were and the other team's eyes an easy draw too. You know, you have to, and of course, raiding it in was another thing. 100%. You just can't jump out of the box yet. You know, it's just far too. You know, like Madrid, they're an aging team, but hey, do you know what I mean? I'm going to say that they're going to, of course, because we want them. I think over 2 legs we can beat them. You know, and then if that's the case, you go on to Chelsea. But again, that record speaks for itself. Tuchel's done some job there, and that is going to be hard.
Yeah, I'm coming to you. Madrid, as Mark spoke about there, he's confident he can get past Madrid. Do you think Liverpool are favourites for this tie?
I'm not sure. I think slight favourites. I think just because of the attacking player we have. But if you're a Real Madrid fan, you're thinking Kabak and Phillips. They're there to be got at. Like, I know Phillips doesn't really put a foot wrong, but Kabak's young. I think he just turned 21 there a couple of days ago. He's young, he's inexperienced.
Liverpool need to improve in the summer. Kabak or Nate. Mark, we're actually going to finish off with the squad itself. Who would they keep? Who would they sell? So that will be coming up. So just stay tuned for that. But yes, there's no doubt about it that it'll give Madrid confidence knowing they're not playing Liverpool's first team. But I have watched a lot of Madrid recently, and the game they do look vulnerable at the back, and I do think it's an area that I don't think Madrid are going to park a bus. I think they're going to have an ego about them as well. Still, I think it's going to be a very exciting tie for neutral. I do think it's going to be plenty of goals in it. I know Liverpool have been scoring goals for fun in the league, but you only have to look at the Leipzig game. They get so many chances. European football is different, and I do think if you had to push me on it, I do think Liverpool will get through this tie, and I do think they'll play Chelsea in the semi-final, and that's what we're going to look at next. So, Mark, if it's a Chelsea-Liverpool semi-final, obviously, again, this is an R thing that's putting on the Chelsea play Liverpool in the semi-final before Istanbul as well. So there's a lot of similarities here. We're getting
boys. Yeah.
And obviously as well, Chelsea will have a bit of bad blood, whether you like it or not, about that goal that got Liverpool there. But do you think that it's too early to give a prediction for that? Because, you know, it's still an hour, a month away or 6 weeks away before they play them 2 legs. So, you know, things can change very quickly in football, as we've seen. You know, we would never envisage Liverpool losing 6 games at home in a row. And, you know, by the time you play in 6 weeks, Chelsea may have lost a couple of games under Tuchel. So do you think as well that although it's a tough draw if it is Chelsea, that you still have to be confident and things can turn around before then?
100%. Hey, see if we do manage to get through and play Chelsea, that's going to be another. Again,
Mark, there's something about it. See when 2 English teams meet in the Champions League, it's different. It's proper different. Like,
but I'm hoping that they might let 5,000-7,000 fans in because it's in England. By that stage, if we're well on, you know, even 2,000, you know, because that would be arch wealth, man. You know, just the fans at home. That was always Liverpool's. Or get a jail card, you know what I mean? But
I agree.
It's going to be very difficult, you know. There's no easy game, and like Chelsea's going to come there full of confidence again, as you say. The form would need to seriously turn around, or Chelsea are going to be looking at that as a happy days. That, you know, we've got a real chance here. As Calum says, the two boys at the back, you know. I think that's going to be every team talk playing Liverpool. The minute is going to be hit them 2 boys. When Alisson was out, it was just take pot shots at Adrian because he's more than likely to drop it. You know.
Let's summarise, right? Let's just dream, or have a wee bit of a dream feed, right? Let's just say they beat Madrid, they beat Chelsea, and they get to the final, and they play Man City or Bayern. I think. See, to be honest, Mark, who would you rather play in the final, Man City or Bayern Munich?
Bayern Munich, probably.
Bayern all day.
Bayern Munich, right? You both say Bayern Munich, right? But do you think as well, a lot of people talk about experience in the Champions League. Do you think that if Man City were in the final, going for a quadruple, they're under massive pressure? I know Liverpool could be under pressure as well. They might have to win that to get back in the Champions League. But Liverpool might be better dealing with that experience. They've been to 2 finals recently. Man City have never been to a Champions League final. Or do you play, maybe Bayern aren't as good as Man City this year, but you're still coming up against a very experienced side, who know how to win. So it's a fine line, Mark, isn't it? They call who you'd rather play.
Do you know what? Just because you asked me, I give you an answer, but irrespective, that's going to be, if you get there, a cup final and a half. There's it's, and again, it's like Spurs playing City now in the EFL Cup or whatever. It's whoever turns up. City's miles ahead, we know, but if Spurs turn up, Mourinho's a winner. Cup finals again. It doesn't, Spurs. I hope Spurs won it.
Yeah, it's a one-off game as well. I do think because it's a one-off game, Liverpool have a better chance of if it's Man City or Bayern Munich in the final. If they had played them over 2 games. But Calum, you obviously think Bayern Munich's the team to avoid, or sorry, Man City's the team to avoid, and you think the same. So let's just say it is Man City in the final. Do you think you would play that experience card into your hands and go, do you know what? Well, say we're doing a podcast for the final and IGT on, would you be going back? They say, do you know what? Well, we didn't want Man City, but the fact we've got that experience, gives us obviously. It doesn't give you an advantage because everyone thinks Man City are a better team, but do you think it bridges that gap between the 2 teams going on it, that they've both got that experience over Man City in Europe?
Definitely, as you say, it does gap that the standard of quality, because there's no doubt Man City's light years ahead of us this year, obviously. But I think, as you say, say if they're going for a quadruple, say the pressure on them is massive. They come on against Liverpool, and Pep knows as well. Even with injuries we have, we're still dangerous. There's no way you can write Liverpool off, especially now.
What about you, Mark? Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. You see, another advantage I think you might have is that's a pinnacle for City. They really want the Champions League now. So that could strike a wee bit of fear in them, getting to the final, getting to that big stage. Although Guardiola's been there, but see a group of players that haven't been there together doing it.
Well, you only have to look at the results. They've lost to Spurs when they won 3 trophies that season. They lost to Lyon last year. They've been beat by, let's just say, probably teams with less quality than Liverpool in the Champions League over the last few years. But the only thing I would say about it is Man City look a more mature team than they have done over the last few years. I think if you go back to that year you tussle with them for the league, even that season, they relied on scoring loads and loads of goals, and they were letting on goals for fun. Like that game against Spurs, it was 4-3 at home. I don't think City at the minute would have to, if they score 1 or 2 goals in a game, it's usually enough at the minute. They're a better balanced team. So do you think, Mark, if you play City in the final, if you look around their team at the minute, everyone will say it before, defence was their weakness. Do you think it's flipped around now where Liverpool are weak at the back and Man City are the team that's probably better all round?
100%. Man City is, there is no weakness in that team at the minute, is there? No. And again, they're going to target Liverpool's depending, or if you were lucky enough to get there, and you had Henderson and Fabinho fit, it's catch-22. You take them out of the midfield and let Man City walk through it. And
we're going to come back to that as well, but just to round off, lads, right? Because Martin did ask us earlier on, so we're going to get straight on it. Calum, do you think Liverpool can win the Champions League?
You'd be silly to say no, because the draw is favourable, and we are.
I think there's a chance. I do think there's a chance.
Well, you can't write us off, but you can't say we're favourites either. It's just one of ones. It's just I'd say it's a 50-50, even slight favourites.
I think we're going to have an all-English final. I think it's going to be Man City against Chelsea or Liverpool in the final. I do have that feeling.
I agree with that.
Do you know what though? If it was Man City Liverpool, it would be the ultimate meeting between 2 sides who've really went at each other over the last few years, and a lot of neutrals will love to see that too. As a neutral myself, I'm looking to see Chelsea against Liverpool in the semi-finals because I think that'd be great. I love when 2 English teams play each other in the Champions League. It just gives you seen that Man City and Spurs game a few years ago. You go back to the Liverpool and Chelsea games, even the Liverpool and Arsenal games. You go back years, the Arsenal Man United games, they were great in the Champions League. I can't remember the last bad English draw. 2 English teams playing each other in the Champions League. I can't remember when it was. So they're always good. Mark, same question to you. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you say about oneness?
I'm going to say same question to you. Do you think they can win the Champions League Liverpool this year?
Yeah, definitely.
100%?
100%. And the reason being is because, the draw, it's a knockout competition. Klopp is good at the knockout competition, you know what I mean? Whereas
Yeah.
if we had to get Man City over 2 legs, people saying it's 2 chances to win, but I'm also saying it's 2 chances to also get a serious hammer. Whereas if we get Man City, if we're lucky enough to get the final, it's only City we can meet there, or Bayern, obviously. If it's City, then
Your brother reckons that maybe Klopp should watch Spurs on the 25th, and that'll show you how to beat Man City in a cup final.
Just
Why,
then,
man?
on that note, I'll going on how the season goes. If it gets that, I think City will be underdogs because of Liverpool's experience. Because they've been there 2 finals over about 4 years, won one, lost one, and they've been there before. They've won it in 2005. They lost in 2007. And I think, City have a lot more to prove than Liverpool, put it that way, which might do it.
Last question, lads, right? We've said Kian. The next question is going to be Will. So, Calum, who's winning the Champions League this year?
Head says Man City, heart says Liverpool.
Head says, right, before we get that, does your head say Liverpool will make the final? Do you think they'll get past Chelsea and Madrid?
I would say unless we don't shoot ourselves in the foot with a mistake or anything, I think we have the quality to do it.
So you reckon a one-off game, it's Man City or Liverpool. What about you, Mark? Who do you see the final being?
Liverpool, City.
And you think Ennis just down to so what do you think, Man City, Liverpool? He's winning that final.
Liverpool.
Liverpool. You think the experience might count? Right, lads, moving on, right? Going to go back. So we back to the Premier League, right? Because touching the Champions League. We've said what if, so we're going to say that again, right? What if they don't win the Champions League? And what if they don't finish in the top 4 or don't even finish in the top 6? Let's just say the season peters out. You know what? And at the minute, top 4 is a big ask. I think top 4 is a bigger ask than winning the Champions League. So top 4 isn't going to look likely for me. Kieran Preston says 100% confident we will be champions of Europe. So there you go. That's all you need to know. We're going to be asking Kieran about that next week on the show, so we'll see what he says. But no top 4. They don't win the Champions League, Mark. It would obviously be a grum summer. If they weren't in Europe or they weren't in the Champions League. How big of a summer would that be then? Or do you still think, regardless of what happens, it's going to be a big summer anyway? You think that if they won the Champions League, it would paper over a lot of the cracks as well?
Well, it'll get them out of jail, put it that way, if they won the Champions League. If they don't win the Champions League, and let's say as you say, top 4 is going to be really difficult. And that's one in every game. I took out one game. Say you lose 3 or 4 that you come just above the top half, say, because it's tight. I don't know.
Let's just sympathies right now. If we've said about the good point, what if they don't finish in the top 6, so no European football? Do you think it's Klopp a man under pressure in the summer?
I would say no, really, but I think it'll fall.
I know you're a massive loyal fan, and I can't understand that.
I back Klopp, but I understand. Like, say if he does lose another few games and we don't get top 4, we don't get Champions League. I think it'll come down to the owners eventually because the lack of investment. I think I just don't agree with it at all. When we won the Champions League, we signed some 17-year-old and Adrian on a free. So I don't think any Liverpool fan, especially COVID now, who thinks we're going to have a big summer, I think is off their head. I don't think the owners are going to be backing Klopp at all. So I think he actually needs. I think he needs the Champions League or top 4.
It's a great point, you make. I'm going to flip it back at you, Mark, as well, right? Do you think that Klopp has been covering over FSG's investment? Do you think that he's been doing so well with the sell and they buy policy? He sold Coutinho. People go about they spent money on Van Dijk and Alisson. That money was generated from selling Coutinho. So it wasn't like he was getting that money. Do you think that the success that Klopp had with the team on the pitch has covered over a lot of the lack of investment from FSG?
100%. I think I looked today and it was since 2015 the present day. I think there was 39 players bought at a tune of 470 million and 37 sold 370 million. The net spend or something from 5 years or from 2015 was 103 or 4 million.
It's like 20 million a season.
Come off it, you know what I mean? And that's one thing people can't say is that Liverpool bought the league because there hasn't the money. To me, hasn't been there. Especially Liverpool fans will agree with me, Calum. Especially and further afield that it took so long to get they won the league, to get back on top, and you're only really known as a great team nowadays as back to back. The owners should have jumped on that. They should have serious investment should have went on there, and not only that, when you lose Van Dijk 3 or 4 games on, was it against Everton? You have to back. No disrespect, but Preston, Ben Davis.
They left at the last day as well. They let Matic get injured.
Do you see when he comes on a Liverpool shirt, it get my respect.
Calum, do you think that Klopp's been let down by the board over the last 12 months since they won that league title? Do you think that they haven't really backed the club properly? They've stood still. And you look at that Man City went out and signed Ruben Dias, and they went again. I actually think that if you look at last year, Man City and Liverpool, I thought it was a strange season. I don't think you've seen that game where Man City at the end of the season, Liverpool the League One, but they beat them 5-0. I don't think there was a lot between Man City and Liverpool over the last couple of years. I think that Man City last year, defence cost them a lot of mistakes and stuff. I never thought they were that far behind Liverpool. I did think it'll be a lot tighter this year. Obviously, Liverpool have had injuries this year. But I think the gap between Liverpool and Man City now is massive. I think it's huge. I think Liverpool are playing massive catch-up. And they've allowed like Man United now to get close to Chelsea, closer. So do you think that the board have missed a massive opportunity? I think Graham Souness talked about it, and we actually laughed about it at the time, because I think he said Liverpool got dominant football for the next 10 years. And I think it was just a comment he made at the time. He was buzzing. But it was almost like a comment from years ago where United teams have dominated for years. Football's changed a lot since then, but I think a lot of people still expect Liverpool to dominate for the next maybe year or two. And it's all sort of just frizzled out a bit. And do you think now that it's a massive pathway back to where they were last year?
I think when the cycle of his team and manager ends, people will look back on that summer after they won the Champions League. I think they've missed a massive opportunity to go on and dominate, or at least challenge, because we know City's always going to be up there. But at least challenge for another few years, because I actually think we had a decent summer last year. We Jota and Thiago coming in. But on the whole, I think the owners they've been let off the hook with how well Klopp's done. He's overachieved, and it's been well documented now, because City have near enough. They have a full bench. You got near to get top 4 on their own. We only have 12 or 13 players where we get the rotate. We play the same 11 every week.
They're saying now.
Go ahead, Mark.
I just read an article now. The FSC sort of coming out with Alexa now that they need to get 5 or 6, 7 maybe players that are on serious wages. They need to reduce the wage bill now. They're trying to say before they can buy players. Now you look at the income that's come on. We won in the Premier League, TV, right? Oh, fair enough. Everybody's suffering the same loss of the stadiums. You know what I mean? But that's putting Klopp back to where he started in 2015 when he had to sell 17 players before anything. Don't get me wrong, there have been a lot of dead wood on there that he wouldn't have wanted, but that's what he was told to do. Get rid before you can do anything.
Mark, we've spoken about this a lot, right? We spoke about this a lot over the last year in my house last week or 2 weeks ago when Bert was, and we were talking about American owners, right? Arsenal have a similar situation with Kroenke at Arsenal, the board. Only because Liverpool's achieved, I think that's why the board of Liverpool have got away with it. I think now they're going to come under real pressure in the summer. You see the hatred between Arsenal's board and the fans, right? The fans can't stand Kroenke, right? And if you talk about owners of football, right? Not many people, you don't know many people, but every football fan knows who Stan Kroenke is because of the toxic fan base Arsenal have with him. But he is what he's done right with Arsenal. He's never spent any money at Arsenal. He's basically taken money out of the club to fund his American club and the American football. And Liverpool's owners also, as a Boston Red Sox own. And I guarantee if you go through their documents, they're spending everything they have because they're American football fans, right? And I think this is the problem now that Liverpool have, is that they've got an owner who will only let them spend what they make. He'll not get any investment from them. So, Mark, how much of a concern is that for you? We could speak all day about the owners have to back him, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen. So, how much of a wake-up call now is this for Liverpool fans in general that they need to rally together and they need to protest against the board, maybe?
100%, because DC just come back to the previous owners, Hicks and Gillette, 2 American, and they mortgaged Liverpool to the hilt for their other venue or for their other ventures. Do you know what in America? nearly put Liverpool to the wall when the FSG come on. They go to them. Apparently, Michael Jordan, I don't know, was pumped on serious money now as well. But people are getting carried away thinking.
Mark Ward, Senator LeBron James has just partnered on as well, but that is not going to be transfer money. That's just a share.
That's transfer money.
That's where people's getting confused. That's where people's getting confused. That's going on the FSG.
He bought I think it was like an 11%.
That's one of the whole business.
It's not like an 11% stake on the what FSG own. So he's only going to own like 10%. So he'll just generate with their profits. He's not going to invest like. You know what I mean?
Owners try to put up ticket prices. They try to double ticket prices, which led to a walkout on the cop. You know what I mean? They tried everything. Just if you're going to run a club, have the backing, put the money in, and if not, sell it on.
So I'm going to flip back at you, Calum, right? So again, if they don't make the top 4, don't make top 6, there's no even to be honest, the funding for Europa League's not that good. So Champions League's your big money maker. If you don't make a top 4, and they don't win the Champions League. Are we going to see any investment in the summer from the board? Do you think it's realistic to even think that?
I think it's very.
Factor in as well. We've just had a year with no fans at all on the ground, so it's not just ticket prices they've lost out, and it's revenue, the ground, the beers, the food. There will probably be a lack of spending in the club shop as well on the ground and stuff. So there's loads and loads of things happening. It's affecting all these clubs. But the fact that if you look at Man City, right, people always slag Man City, right, that their owners they bought the league and stuff, right? And you've seen United who spent a lot of money. It's not as easy to buy a league as you think. I think you have to credit Pep for what he's done at City. I mean, they've won trophies every year, bar that first year he wasn't there. But the owners are at every single game. They're at every game. They love the club. Obviously, they weren't born as Man City fans, but when they bought that club, it's almost like when you meet a girl, you want to treat her well. They bought that. They bought that club, and they're like, we're going to give this club everything we have. They always pump money in, and I think it's very funny the way fans slag Man City, because as a Spurs fan, and I'm sure yourself as a Liverpool fan, you wish we had that investment. I wish I had owners that cared as much as they did. You know, that once they pump money in, and it's not away watching an American football game in another country. You know, I'd rather they be at our game. You know what I mean? So again, do you think that it's one of them ones where it's just we have to be realistic where we are now, and that the Liverpool is not going to be a club that's going to get massive backing by the owners in the summer?
I think history tells you that now. Even we're hardly going to spend now after COVID and having a bad season when we go on. We got 98 points and we won a Champions League. We didn't spend, so I don't think there's going to be any change. I think it's very unrealistic to even suggest that we're going to spend bigger, give big investment to get back to where we were, unless we sell someone, break up one from free maybe, or I don't know. I can't see it. I think it's going to be a rough summer.
Mark, come back to you, right? I think if he's won the Champions League, you might get that money from the Champions League that you get from it. You might go, you know what, you've won the Champions League. There's a few extra pound. You know what I mean? Worth 50 million or 60 million on top of what you sell. I think if he's don't win the Champions League, right, it's going to be a sell to buy policy. I do think that's the way it's going to be. So, how much pressure does that put Klopp under? Because we're going to come to Klopp in a moment, but let's just say he's the man to come forward. He's got an aging squad. He's going to have to replace Wijnaldum. He's getting no money for. It looks like Wijnaldum's not going to sign. I think he would have signed by now if he was going to sign. So you have to envisage he's going to be leaving. So they're going to have to replace that top quality midfielder who's been a great servant, and then strengthen all areas of the team. So do you think it's likely we're going to see at least one of that front three sold?
You see, again, it was like Coutinho, Barcelona came in and just ruffled his feathers, you know what I mean? But if they're not going to invest, you're going to fall behind further and further, because the teams below Liverpool, the teams just slightly above, and then Man City's in a different league of investment. As you say, you cannot afford to go that far behind. So the answer is yes, somebody's going to have to go, and it's going to have to be Salah.
Mark just started on Salah from Normani. You think Salah, Mark? If it was going to be somebody, you think it would be him?
See, and it would have to be done now this year. After, let's say there's no investment or age told, because I think
Salah, too, Mark, I think 2 years left in his contract as well. So if he doesn't sign a contract again, his value's going to go down.
Right.
I think I'd be mad to sell Salah. He's carried us this season.
Calum, 100%, but I'm only saying for a money point of view. That's where your big money's going to come from. You can sell Mane or Firmino. What are you going to get Firmino? You know,
exactly.
He plays next year, you know what I mean? Mane, for me, I love Mane personally out of the three, because he works. He's not as selfish as the rest. Firmino
let's just shout out the front three, right? And I was going to say exactly what you said, right? Mark, do you think that Liverpool fans are blind to the fact that maybe Manny, he's always happy and the fans love him, he's not selfish, but his goal output this year's not been good enough, whereas a Salah who he looks very frustrated at times. He never looks happy this season, especially. His contract is running down, and there's no doubt about it. The Salah that joined Liverpool is not the same Salah. He's got an ego about him. You look at the way Ronaldo was at United when he left, Bale at Spurs. Players, he's developed that ego, and you almost think that he believes he's the main man. And you know what? His numbers back it up. Fair play to him. He scores goals. People's talking about him not having a great season. He's joint top goal scorer of the Premier League. So you think that sometimes Liverpool can be a bit ungrateful towards him, and that they're carried away with the whole Manny thing. That Manny's a great player, he's a great team player, but when it gets down to the business and it gets down to your stats as your main point, like your goal output, he doesn't produce the numbers Salah does.
100%. Like Salah's record speaks for itself, but watching Liverpool every week that they're on and every match, I don't know how many times I've shouted and threatened to throw the TV in, because there's always somebody in a better position. But that's how he's so good, and that's how his numbers are so good, because he's so selfish. Graham Souness, Neville, Carragher have all said it. If he was as given as Firmino, he wouldn't have half them numbers. He wouldn't have a quarter of them numbers. Do you know what I mean? I think an all-round player, Manny, the way he bits players, his pace is excellent. You know what I mean? But go back to Salah. His numbers are incredible numbers. I would hit the
think regardless of investment, lad, right? I think regardless of investment or not, Salah's still a problem in the summer. He's got 2 years left in his contract. If he's not going to sign, I think he has to be sold anyway, because there's no point letting him sit another year and then his value goes down, because he's going to be 30 with a year left in his contract. So,
and they all want to finish up.
Owen put 150 million for Salah. He would take it. I think the problem you have, Owen, right? We've talked about this on previous shows with Harry Kane. Teams aren't going to have that kind of money this summer. That's the big issue with a lot of teams, that there's not going to be massive spending. I think you might see a lot of players go. It'll take one transfer, boys, right? For say a Harry Kane, if he went for 80 million, which Spurs fans will be devastated, 80 million, but it would take one transfer to change everything. See when Neymar signed for 200 million, that changed football. Everybody was a 50 million pound player. It'll take one transfer, they send it back. So if somebody does get sold for cheaper, you'll see everybody else going cheaper. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. There will be some sort of domino effect, or you'll just see everybody staying where they are. I think it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. But from a purely financial point of view, Mark, if you're the owner, you're a club, you offer Salah a contract with a wage increase, and he doesn't sign it, or would you sell him? Then would you say, look, well, sorry, we're going to put you up for sale. We have to think about our value.
Has to go. You see, because they let the Wijnaldum thing run on for too long, and he's been one of the best players Liverpool have had this season. When he go, stay in front, always there, workhorse. Not a word beater doesn't come from any big name, but that's what happened. This has been let go for far too long. It was let run. But if I was the boss, I would offer him a contract. We want you, we love you. You'll end up hero here. You already are. Here's your contract. Here's your improvement in wages. Forget about what anybody else is getting. That's neither here nor there. Sign this, and if he says no, you have to go.
Hey lads, from what I understand, right, I've not got massive contacts. But I do know the odd boy that would have a wee bit of a connection. From what I was told, this source might not be that reliable, but apparently Liverpool have offered Wijnaldum what every other club's offered him. There's obviously going to be offers coming in from him. And for Wijnaldum, it's not a wage issue. He just wants to leave. He wants to go to play. I think it's Barcelona. He wants to team up with Koeman in Barcelona.
I was reading about his agent.
I think it's a summer situation. I think Eriksen. You seen that Amazon documentary that Spurs were offering Eriksen whatever he wanted to stay. Every other club. I just think Wijnaldum himself wants to change. I think the Wijnaldum's credit, he's fighting every game until he leaves. I don't think he's thinking about anywhere else. But I just think when the season finishes, he wants to leave. He wants a challenge. Do you think, Mark, that's an issue with Alexa Salah and a few other players, that because they've won the Champions League and because they've won the Premier League, because they're getting to that age where they're coming 30, they might just want to change?
They want to change, that's it. I was just quickly going to say about Coutinho too. Barcelona came in, and all of a sudden he was faking back injuries and all this nonsense, and then the next week he was away playing for Brazil. Nonsense. He just, when Barcelona came in, he just lay down, whereas Wijnaldum's totally different. Do you know what I mean?
Martin, £200 a week. I think he has. I think I heard personally he was offered up to £230 a week.
Probably.
Liverpool have actually offered him that.
I don't think that's true because our highest paid players are
But I think
200
the
grand.
Liverpool I think
But are we not getting Mbappe for something like 600,000 a week or something?
I think from what the boy I was chatting was saying was that he's been offered £230 a week on a 2-year contract, and that when Adam's actually a very senior player in the dressing room, the players respect him, and the club still feels he's crucial to the way they play. So again, I think
That just
exactly, and I think we're going to come to that point, right, Mark, right? Do you think that it's getting to the point where Klopp has got a lot of loyalty to certain players that it's going to be very difficult for him? They've won in the Premier League, they've won in the Champions League. That's going to be very difficult for him. They close that door on them. You seen it with Pochettino with Spurs, or he didn't win any trophies, but a very similar situation where it was an aging squad, and he backed the likes of Vertonghen and Alderweireld, who's still there. You know, boys that were it was evident, Trippier, that they weren't going to be good enough anymore for what he wanted. A very similar style to Klopp. It was high press, high energy. You know, do you think that it's a real test of Klopp's judgment now over the next sort of 12 months of who he keeps and who he moves on?
You'll see how good he is for me now in the next 12 months because, as you say, Wijnaldum, it's not about money. It's just he's spent a lot of his career in England. Who doesn't want to enter a career? Barcelona, let's be honest. No, they're not the team they were, but still getting to play for them. If Klopp can keep them players happy and get them to say, that's the thing I think with Klopp. You see, even if Liverpool finish out of the top 4, for me, I think he has to stay because, he's a man that can still bring big names. Who do you replace him? He's a man that can still bring big names.
I think his hands are bad.
1 wee second. Danny Dorn's asking what about the indoor. I think Josh's hamstring's still playing up. He can't get fit at all. But Calum, coming to Jurgen Klopp right before we get into the future. We've talked about all these things. He's got. To be fair, when you talk about it a lot, and a lot of people will realise this, that there is a lot of problems at Liverpool that he's having to deal with as well as himself. But taking all that into account, do you think that he's still underachieving this season? Where they are in the league, 7th, 8th, possibly if Everton were they even get a draw in that game in hand against Villa? Out of the FA Cup, out of the League Cup, they've got a fight in their hands. They won the Champions League. There's a good chance they can end this season without European football. Do you think that will be a serious underachievement, taking all that into account still?
100%, because even after the whole injury crack, you can throw any factor in you want them. The quality's still there. We've been chatting for weeks now. See, some of the games we've lost at Anfield, it's not even the fact that we've lost. We've been played off a park by teams who are nowhere near as good as they should be against us. The quality we have in that their team, we still should be beating the likes of Fulham and Burnley and Brighton at home. I think the performances more than anything is what is upsetting the fans at the minute.
Yeah. Mark, do you think that you've seen that team lineup against Fulham and you were very critical? I mean, you were very, very critical of the team lineup against Fulham. Do you think that Klopp's very stubborn in the way he's system? It's my way or no way, and that no matter what players he's got, he'll play that certain way. You've seen he played the same way with Williams, who hasn't got the pace of Alexander-Arnold. He had him very high up on the pitch, and he left Kabak and I think it was Phillips totally exposed that day against Fulham, of one of the fastest from threes in the league. In that first half, Fulham could have been 3-0 up, and that, easily. Like, and do you think that that's going to be a big challenge for Klopp? It's either you see me Guardiola this year. He had a change after that Spurs game when they lost 2-0. He realised it's just not going to work the way I'm playing anymore. Do you think that Klopp's going to have to do that with these players, or else sell most of them and bring younger boys in?
It's a bit of both, really. He has to sell. He has to bring some youth into the team because, if that's his style of play, which he's stubborn in playing, he's better bringing on youth. He's better bringing in youth, because there's no point. The players, 90% of the players that's on there know the style of play, know the way he wants to play, but he's lethal stubborn by the looks of it because even down to his substitutes, 88th minute, what good is that to anybody, realistically? And, the 4-3-3 and the high line, when your defence isn't, that's all right when you've got your full team, and it's battered teams off the park for 3 years nearly. But when you lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 at home, then the same tactics, we're not the same players. not the same league of players as you say. Williams, they Trent.
Mark, I coach football myself, right? And sometimes, and again, it's nowhere near. That's only youth level, right? But when something works for you so well, it's very difficult as a coach to come away from it. I find that myself. It's very difficult. It's worked so many times before. I'm going to trust. You seen it with Wenger towards the end at Arsenal. He never changed at all. Eventually, Arsenal let him go and they wanted to change. But you've seen them last few years, it was very similar. You know, they break down at certain games, break down in certain moments of the season. I think with Klopp as well, it's going to be a massive test of his character. You've seen it with Dortmund. He never changed towards the end, and eventually Dortmund and him, apparently he walked away, but I've no doubt Dortmund and Klopp agreed that it was best time to leave it. You know, Dortmund probably said to him, look, we're going to sack you or else walk. And I think that Klopp himself just walked because Dortmund didn't want to do that because of what he achieved Dortmund. And I think it will be the same at Liverpool. It will be a mutual consent thing if it did end. If no top four, Mark, if no top six, if no Champions League, you're still fully behind Klopp in the summer.
Do you mean no Champions League 1 if they lose the Champions League?
If they go to the Champions League, they don't finish in the top six, so no European football. Are you still fully behind Klopp in the summer that he should be the man to take him forward next season?
You have to be.
I think so. One or two reasons, right? Because you can put it down.
You're saying about attracting the players, right?
You know, attracting the players. There isn't going to be any massive income, or any massive money to bring players on, unless something that we don't know. But you know, just going to pass for them. But the question is, who do you get?
Who's a better manager than Klopp?
Here's my take on it, right, lads, right? I think that some of them players, like Salah, are exhausted in his methods. I don't think they can give them any more than what he wants. I don't think they can do. You've seen it in a lot of games over the last few weeks. The high press in the front's gone. You can't do it anymore. And even if they do it, if they do it in the first 20 minutes, it fades, whereas they were relentless. And they were brilliant. That pressing was incredible. Never seen anything like it. It was great to watch.
But that there comes down to the lack of investment, because if you look at Man City, they have how many people's on the bench? 6 people. They can bring on 6 players. If you look at our bench, if you go on our team sheets, we have, I'd say, genuinely about 1 player we can bring on every week. We have the same 11 now for the past 3 or 4 years. They have to be burnt out at this stage now. There's no, like, obviously as a Liverpool fan, as you were saying, as a Spurs fan, you are jealous of what Man City have, because we don't have the same luxuries as they have. Klopp's hands are tied. He can't really drop.
Right, happy birthday to Martin and happy birthday to Daniel. Daniel Dorn, a very, very proud resident of the Bogside area. Very, very happy birthday to you. Have a great night. I'm sure he's about in Fawn Street celebrating yourselves. A few tons on Fawn Street. Anybody that wants to join up, you're more than welcome. They gather around. But Martin, very happy birthday to yourself as well. Fuck, you must be nearly 30 now as well. Everyone's aging through this pandemic.
Holy Christ.
A great point. Do you think that Firmino, Calum, is a weak spot in this team at the moment? Do you think, although Mane, he still offers a lot, do you think Firmino is the one that Jota now coming back, he's going to be the one that's going to make way?
If any of my friends are watching, we've had countless talks over Firmino and what he gives the team, and I think it's fair to say, obviously, I'm a massive fan of Firmino. Anyone who knows me knows that, but over the last 18 months now, there has been about, I would say, a natural decline. Now I think he is obviously just getting on a bit, but I think I'm not sure. He doesn't he doesn't give as much. He doesn't give as much as what he used to. But I suppose his role in that was that he was never really, as long as the two beside him were putting on 20 a year, it didn't really matter. Not that it didn't matter, but his unselfishness contributed to them and scoring so many. But I think as well, Salah's been the only one who's been consistent this year. I think Mane's went on a 8 or 9 game run streak where he hasn't provided. But and I think obviously Jota being injured for 3 or 4 months didn't help Firmino at all, because Jota actually put him out of his role coming on the December, and then he got injured. But I wouldn't say shift Firmino, because I don't think you get a while off for him now, considering his form and his age. But I think
lads, I think with Firmino, you might have to just take a cut on him. I don't think it's going to. I think Firmino, you've seen the best of Firmino at Liverpool. I don't think you'll get that level.
I still think he's a quality player to have if you get Jota on the team.
I think if you look at his stats last year, Liverpool won him, papered over him, but Martin's just saying he was only 27, not 30. Before we ask you about Firmino, Mark, your friend Daniel Doran is currently on Fawn Street waving hello, and he says great support on the show. I just want to wonder if you have any words for Daniel himself. It's his birthday as well, so if you want to say happy birthday to your friend Daniel from Fawn Street, just say a few quick words.
I know it's not his birthday, so he's lying to try and get a shout out. His birthday's the 8th of January. So I must have happy birthday, but if LD's watching his dad, who was a wee bit unwell there for a while, we wish him all the best and get back on your feet soon, LD.
You talked about who might be available, Mark, to come in. A commentator saying Jose Mourinho could be free at the end of the next year. Would you take him in?
For management?
No chance.
No.
No chance.
I'm not disputing his
He
quality.
might score goals, but he might score goals at home. He might score goals at home if he's Mourinho.
You don't score goals at home.
You might let me
Score
down
goals
there.
at home next week. But no, that's right. We've talked a lot about Klopp as well. You do believe he's the man that could score, and I totally respect that. Mark, you just did hesitate a bit when I did say about you'd have to, but there's that element that thinks somebody Rodgers, where if he has a bad start in the first 6 or 7 games, you think he could easily be sacked. He could be sacked on the spot.
Very easily, because you have a reputation to keep to. Loyalty is a great thing to have, but at the end of the day, you can't. It's a disastrous season if we finish that far down and don't get into the Champions League, and then loyalty comes into it, and then again, he could walk. I hope he doesn't, because for what he's done for Liverpool, it's been remarkable, But if he starts off 4 or 5, put it this way: see if he loses for 6 out of the next 9, he could be gone.
He said he's going to honour his contract up to 2023.
I hope so. I really hope
No,
so.
but that's the thing. That's what he's saying. I remember Pochettino saying the same
No,
thing.
I know.
I know he didn't win trophies, but he'll say that anyway. He's not going to say, "Oh well, who knows?" Then he's going to keep saying that. He has a contract there legally. Liverpool will have to say to him. But hey, at the end of the day, Klopp's just an employee. He can't dictate how long he stays on. Even seen that with Wenger towards the end. Arsenal removed him after 25 years. So again, and regardless of what you say, I know it was a long time ago, but Wenger still achieved more at Arsenal than Klopp did, and he was sacked. He's talked about Ranieri at Leicester, won the league, biggest miracle in history, sacked. Jose Mourinho won Champions or Premier Leagues at Chelsea, FA Cups, League Cups, sacked twice. It does happen. So I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility. I think Kieran Preston here is saying Klopp's unsackable. I don't buy that. I think in football now,
I know
thanks. It's not against Klopp, right? But Liverpool, the board now will not look. They will for a certain time. It has credit in the bank. He'll get away with. If this was any other manager losing 6 games in a row at home, he'd be sacked on the spot.
Yeah,
no doubt about it, right? Because Klopp's got credit in the bank, fair enough. But if this continues, they'll not be thinking about what he achieved in the past. They'll think, well, what's going to happen in the next 2 years? We need to think about the future.
Right.
What do you think, Mark?
Do you seem to look at it from a wider aspect? Then I think losing the 6 games, as Martin says there, it's hard to credit. But 1 in 68 at home before that too will it ever be done again?
People with short memories.
People with short memories, you know what I mean? And I do. Now, if it was me, Klopp wouldn't be sacked. No matter what happens, finish. But you do need to change at some stage because if that run continues, then it only means one thing, that he's lost. It can't motivate the players. Them players don't turn into bad players overnight. They don't have relentless records, and it disappears overnight. That's telling you that the dressing room's lost, and unfortunately, only one person loses out. Then you can't start terminating contracts.
Mark, do you think he has lost the dressing room?
No.
I watched a couple of games, and heads were down, and so many games at home.
Mark, I don't think he's lost the dressing room.
I disagree with that. I think it's more a lack of confidence.
He could be right.
Right. Yeah. I do think right. He hasn't lost the dressing room. Losing the dressing room.
There's no way them players disrespect him at this stage.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think he's lost the dressing room, but I do think they've had that same voice now for 6 seasons, 6 years. Modern day football has changed a lot. 6 years now is like 20 years.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s and 90s, when Ferguson was in charge. I don't even think Ferguson now, if if he takes on United, by the way, he wouldn't have got the time he did back then. I think he was one game away from a sack.
Well,
He
he
would have
was
been
one
sacked.
game away from getting the boot.
But he would have been sacked before that anyway in modern day football. And I think they do what he did and Wenger did. And it's them days are gone, really. I don't see that happening.
Gary, I think it was you said told me that stat was like Ferguson, like the lifespan of his team was what 2.5, 3 years. Did you say? And he was already planning.
Yeah, chopped and changed quite a bit there.
Liverpool, they've stuck with, as you say, Klopp gets a thing and his way of playing, and he doesn't change it. But again, its age is coming onto it now. This you can only play that constantly.
The only thing I don't want is to get like a Wenger situation where it gets toxic, where the fans turn on him, stuff like that. There, because you have to remember what he's done for the club. Like
the next 9 games in the Champions League run will tell you a lot. I think if Liverpool continue the same kind of form where they're the last 9 games in the league, if they sort of were the 1, 2, or 3 and maybe lose 4 or 5 and draw, the signs are there that it's probably not going to get much better next season. I know you might have players that come back, but the fixtures they have, for example, they've got a lot of winnable games on there in the last 9 games. They've only got Arsenal, United. The other 7 are very winnable. They've already played Leicester and all them other teams. It's more bottom half teams they play in the last 9 games. So
that's where we lost.
I know that's where we dropped points.
And that's the thing we were saying about players having their heads down. Confidence is a big thing. But you look at someone like Brighton, right? See a team like Brighton who have been on I think they've got like really amazing stats, but just the points don't make up where they are. But I think that even when they're losing games, they could lose 4 or 5 in a row. They still go out and play with confidence. So again, I do think there is a wee bit of an element in there where Klopp really needs to change a lot of the squad in the summer. If it's 5 or 6 players, the players that maybe the likes of Salah, when Allen's moving on, some of the players that maybe he's exhausted. I think some of them are exhausted in them efforts. So it's gonna be a big summer, whether they won the Champions League or not. But massive summer. That's going to give me 2 quick minutes here. I just need to run the toilet, and when I finish off with a squad rebuild, all right.
Did he fall? There was a while back there. What do you think about like there isn't many managers that can come on, is there?
Gar was saying Jose's there, but you never to come.
He'd never get a job in the Premier League again. I don't think if Spurs get rid of him.
I think his style's done now. You can't play the way he plays anymore.
Do you remember Brendan Rodgers is the same? Do you know what I mean? Only I don't like.
I think Rodgers is a great manager, but because of the history he has, I don't think we pick him back.
He's got that same method too. It's one way. Do you remember the year he was so close to winning the league, and like he went toe-to-toe with Chelsea, and he ended up Jared slipped and all that, and he didn't have to do that. He could have. Jesus, all we needed was a draw.
I know.
I'm not going to change. So Klopp's not going to change.
No, and I actually been critical of Klopp because I didn't like how stubborn he was. But I
like this fella when I left.
I knew you heard of him.
I know. But I think he's also the same work. I think his hands are tied as well with the players. He doesn't have a lot of depth there.
But we're going to finish with the squad rebuild. So who you would keep, who you would sell, and then we're going to try and make up fees for the players you would sell, and we're going to try and bring in, who would like to come in. So just a few comments they bring out here. Kieran Preston said the dressing room needs refreshed. Too many players have got too comfortable. Plus the likes of Firmino thriving fans pushing them on. Totally agree, Kieran. Toilet break, yes, definitely. How's the rock show going? I think it's running through me at the minute. These Coors Light. I was holding that in there for 15 minutes, to be honest. Lads, squad rebuild. Let's start with the goalkeeper, Alisson. No questions here, I would imagine, Mark. Keep or sell?
Yep, keep.
Calum, keep.
Yeah, keep all day.
Sub keeper is obviously Kelleher, is a young boy. I think that's pretty straightforward. Going to keep him on. Alexander Arnold, keep or sell, lads?
Keep,
yeah. Williams?
Keep.
Yeah. Which Williams?
The young right back, Nico Williams, yeah.
Too young, that's it.
He's young. Defence, Van Dijk.
Of course, you have to keep him.
I have to keep him. He's aging, but
he's the best centre half in the world. You have to keep him.
Yeah.
Let's just say, I don't think it'll happen, right, because he's had that injury, but let's just say somebody offers 50 million in the summer, right?
No chance. No chance. 50 million.
Yeah.
Calum, I sort of he's carrying an
And he's
injury.
still injury. He might not come back the same player.
No, I know up. I think that's the risk you have to take with him now when he's
That's a
further.
risky attack guy. No, he's worth another year or two. You know, he looks at himself obviously as being a top player. Like, you know, it's not keeping.
I think Matip's going to be going as well.
I'm going to say next one's Matip. What about Matip? What do you think?
I think he's played his last game for Liverpool. I don't think he'll play for us again.
Right, let's try and make up a fee for Matip. What do you think realistically he's going to go for?
I don't think he's. I think there's a less than a year in his contract, so
it'll be a free because hey, who's going to pay out big money for a player that can't play?
I know he can't play a game.
No, I think Liverpool might get 10 million from. I think we get 10 million for Lovren.
10 million for Lovren now.
10 million for Lovren. Let's just say 10 million they get for Matip, right? So we'll put that their transfer fund. 10 million. Matip's gone. Kabak, who Martin said here, Kabak, he's only joined, isn't he? He's on loan. Do you think they might buy him?
What kind of money is involved with him if they do? Has it been disclosed?
If we buy him, I think we pay 25 million for him.
Hey, you said
I think they will buy him. I think. Mark, what would you do from what you've seen so far?
Dodgy at the start, but hey, but for 25 million, I
think in this day and age, 25 million is not a lot of money.
Who you going to get? You know, and he's done relatively well now.
I don't know. I actually disagree. I don't rate him highly, to be honest. I know he's young, so I will give him that there, but I'm not too sure. I think he could probably, suppose, who else can you get? But I'm not sure. I think I need to see more of him, to be honest. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Right, you're unsure. Owen Kelly sent 18 million for Quebec at us. He's
18 million. Well, I suppose if it's 18 million, that's a bit of a difference, but I still think I need to see more of him.
Maybe swap him for Matip.
If we got a swap deal, there'll be some deal.
Phillips, would you keep Phillips? He's young. He's not really much. He's done well.
He hasn't put a foot wrong. You have to keep him.
Here's an interesting one. The centre half, Williams.
Oh, I would get rid of him. He's not good enough. I feel bad for him.
Reece Williams.
Reece Williams.
Yeah, so,
I know he's only 19, which is unfair on him, but he was fine.
Would you think he get 5 million from?
I'm not too sure. Maybe he's not a bad centre half. I just think he was done over his head.
Let's say they get 5 million from. Let's say
5 million.
Let's say 15 million for Matip and Williams, and then so that basically pays for Quebec, right? So Quebec's on. We're going to come back to signings. We're going to come back to signings at the end, right? Because it's going to be very difficult until we get the generated fund. But moving on to left back, they've got. If I left out any centre halves there, no.
Gomez.
Gomez. You keep. This is an interesting one as well. Gomez.
He's injured.
Would you?
But he was bought for penny. Keep him.
We only bought him for 5 million. I think it was. You have to keep him.
Right. So left back Robertson, definitely keep. The lad they signed, Tomuskas, he's not really featured at all. It's very hard to make a call on him.
He's been well unlucky with injuries, so you can't even give an answer because we haven't seen him play. Really.
For 10 million, was it?
Whatever we bought Lovren for, we bought him for the same price.
I still think Liverpool need better backup on left back for him. I don't think Klopp trusts him, even when he's been fought. He's not really played him, but it's very difficult to make a judgment call on him. I've not really seen him, and even you have said that. Danny Dorn sent taxi to Fawn Street. Sorry, taxi to Quebec. Sorry, my mind's way elsewhere here. But midfield, let's move on to the midfield. Fabinho,
best CDM in the world. You have to keep him.
Yep.
Henderson.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's an aging player in Henderson. You keep him on just
for his leadership.
I agree. I think you should keep him as well. When Wijnaldum's obviously going to be leaving, we have to envisage he's going to be leaving, and he's going to be leaving for free, which is a big one. Thiago, do you think that with Thiago, I know it's only had one season, but see the way Liverpool play, if they're going to have the same kind of style, do you not think it doesn't suit them? I don't see with Thiago, it would suit a Chelsea where Tuchel has a lot of possession. Liverpool are very, not as they hoof the ball forward, but they're very direct. They get the ball with the two fullbacks and they get the ball in the box. Do you think Thiago's suited Liverpool, Mark?
I think so. Ever since he's come on, he hasn't been playing where he's going to eventually play. I don't have, that's. Sorry, I was just reading the message on the phone. No, I think 100%. He's deadly with a pass, and he can see a pass. His vision's quality, you know what I mean. I think He's 29 now. The money's been paid. Again, where's he going to go for? Who's going to get big money? I think he'll settle on, and I think you get the best. Hopefully, they see from him. You know.
Calum, what about you? You keep him?
I know against Everton when we had a full team, I think there was seen the best of him. I think he ran a show that day against Goodison. Hopefully we can get a bit more out there. I mean, he hasn't really done much too much because obviously, what is he, 29? We paid 20 odd million. People will consider him one of the best midfielders in the world. You want an instant impact, and I think it's fair to say we haven't got that. But hopefully, I obviously you have to keep him. You can't sell him like we only got him, but hopefully we get more of him next year. I think.
Totally agree. I think you need to keep him for another season, but I do think as well there's that element of the fact he only spent 20 million on him. I don't think it's a big thing to keep him, but I do think he might not suit you. I do think that a great player. There's no doubt in his quality. You see some of the things he does in games.
I just want to see.
I think he's one of the worst tacklers I've ever seen. To be honest,
he gets a yellow card every game, nearly.
I just think sometimes the pace of the English game catches him out.
Playing in that role, he's playing like a defender, and he's lunging on and he's trying to.
No, but Mark, I think the fact he's played in Spain, he played in Germany for so long, he struggles. The pace of the English game catches him out at times. But it'll be interesting to see if he's any better next year. And you know what, I could be made to look very stupid, but I don't think you'll see that Thiago. You've seen it at Bayern Munich, you see it at Liverpool, but we'll see. Freedom of the field. We've also got Keita, who's not really featured at all. A lot of injuries. What would you be him, Calum?
If anyone knows me, I'm a big fan of Keita. I think there's quality on that player. We spent 50 million on him. I was a plagued with injuries. He's like another Daniel Sturridge where you're just hoping he can get a run of games because I think I was talking about that. He's the only player in that there midfield who can drive at, who can maybe get an assist, who maybe create something. Because
one of your exes,
whenever Trent and Robertson can't provide assists, Keita's probably the only man in my field who can look at. You can think he can drive through and pin a man and maybe get an assist, but I think you have to keep him. I know if he doesn't do it next season, I'll get rid of him, but I would hold on to him for another year.
See where Keita's concerned again. It's injuries are another big thing, but as Calum says, at least when he gets the ball, he goes forward. There's none of this sideways or back. At least he tries.
Danny reckons it's time to sell, maybe.
It's on my list. It's on my list as a question mark. But Calum says he's probably.
See, this is a thing you're saying. Maybe keep him for another season, right? But if somebody offers 30 million from the summer, do you sell him?
No, I wouldn't take 30 million from him.
I would. With his injury worries.
You wouldn't take 30 million from players fairly played.
No, because I think he's worth for us because I think but I don't think there's another player in our field who can do what he can do.
Right, fair enough. What do you think, Mark? Would you give him another season now?
But as you say, if 30, 35, I would sell him with that money.
Well, they're two against one. We'll sell him.
Right, that should say we sell him for 30 million, right?
We need the money, Calum, from Mbappe. Sell
Curtis Jones
or Haaland.
Curtis Jones is going to be a keep.
Of course, I think he's a great wee player.
Oh my god, no way! Luxembourg just scored. What's the score in that game? I've had to turn my TV off because my connections went and everything, so I haven't seen anything.
Dan, this is a Liverpool chat, by the way.
No, can you keep me updated with the score? I haven't seen the score at all. He sent taxi for Stephen Kennedy. They could not be losing that game. Tell me not. Oh my god!
Must be because he never had any pop up to see Ireland scored.
Oh my god. So we're gonna sell. Oh my god! No way! Oh no, Luxembourg.
Oh no.
But you're saying going to keep Keita or sell Keita for 30 million?
What's our 45 well now?
85 minutes gone. Oh my god!
Can I gone away? Do we get this?
Oh my god! That's for Kenny. I can't see how he comes back from that. But anyone else on my feed I forgot? Jones was on there too. We're keeping him.
Chamberlain and Muller.
I would say Alex.
It's Milner on itself. You're not going to get any money for Milner. He's too
I keep Milner because he's always fit, apart from the odd wee. Great player.
You're going to get no money from Milner. So Chamberlain, Calum, you would sell him?
I drive him out, even though I can't even drive that. I don't want him out.
Do you think it's very similar to Keita and how it was at Arsenal with Ox that just injuries has been the detriment to him?
I do feel sorry for him because I think he was playing really well for us prior. They had their knee injury and he was out for a year. And we could see the same now with Gomez and Van Dijk. It's a similar injury where he was out for a year and they might not play.
I think they see the best of Ox. He's going to have to be playing every week, and he's not going to get that at Liverpool. So sell.
Let me know what ball game score now, boys. How it finishes 1-0. I part will come on the other one 2-1. Great player. But Chamberlain, what do you think his value is now? Though he's signing for about 40 million. I don't think he's anywhere near that value anymore. I think you're looking at possibly 15 million.
I was going to say you'd be lucky to get half of what we paid for him.
We'll go 20.
Do you say about 15 million, Mark?
I don't care because he's not going to get playing at Liverpool unless there's really.
So we'll put him on for 15 million, right? There's nobody else in midfield forgotten. Is that everyone?
Ultimately can't mind too.
Right, so let's move on to the forwards, right? Shaqiri, sell or keep?
I actually like Shaqiri, but probably
he's another player that can create. Again, he goes forward, he can make a pass, he's got good vision. No, I would keep him.
You keep Shaqiri, Calum?
I'm not too sure. I agree with Mark. He is one of them people who can create, but he's not a 90-minute man.
I think a lot of these boys are not sure on like Keita, like Shaqiri. It'll depend on what kind of money you're getting from.
I'm not sure they bought him for how much. It was less than 15 million, so I keep him.
You keep Shaqiri, right? Salah.
I would keep Salah purely because the other two aren't consistent as him, and without consistency,
right. Let's just say keep for now, right, Mark? We'll come back to Salah. Origi.
Get ready. Go home.
How much are we talking?
You probably get 20 million, 25 million from it, maybe.
Let's say 20 quid, Calum.
25. I think 20. I think 20 is your limit. I don't think you get 25. I think you're possibly looking in a COVID market, probably 15 million. He's hardly played all season.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're Wolves are after him, so hopefully they take him.
I would say about 15 million. What would you say, Mark?
15 or else a swap or with money for Cody.
So let's just say 15 million on Origi as well, right? Mane, keep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Firmino,
keep. What are you going to get?
I would keep him purely just because we need depth.
Yeah.
We need players.
And Jota, keep.
100%.
Of course.
Anyone else there? I forgot.
Trying to think. I don't think so.
From the players you're keeping, there's very little money to spend here. That's the problem where you're going to have. I think one of them players are going to have to be sold.
But
I won't say I'm paying our team to keep Origi, but let's go back through it again. So we had Matip going for 10 million. We had Keita going for 30, was 40. Origi going for 15 was 45. Is that right? Them three, you leave him? Chamberlain for 15 was 60 million, right? Kabak's coming in for 20 million, say. So that leaves 40 million to reinvest in the squad. So it's evident that somebody's probably going to have to leave in the summer, lads. Look, we'll just go from there, right? Do you want to revisit? Do you want to revisit Salah now, Calum? Do you think that possibly he might have to be moved on?
No, I wouldn't move him on. You know why? Because that's not because you move him on, you take your best player out of the team, you're going to end up getting worse. Who are you going to replace him? It's irreplaceable.
Totally agree. I don't think Salah should be sold unless
a budget of 40 million. Unless
like me asking you, would you sell Harry?
No, let's just say Salah says, you know what, they make it easier for you. I'm not going to sign another contract. So then he has to be sold, right? Let's just say he has to be sold, and you get 60 million from him. Let's just say, right? I think on a COVID market, you're not going to get big money. He's 29 with 2 years left in his contract. I don't think you're going to get the 120. I don't think you'll get what you want. So let's just say you get 60 million on top of the 40 you have. That's 100 million. They reinvest in the squad. Mark, who would your first signing be?
Harry Kane.
Great shout. But would he be available for 100 million?
It's a COVID market, as you says, and I think now unless he's got the same
I think
loyalty,
he could be. I think again, 100 million would be a fair. Spurs would have to think about it.
I think he see unless he's got the same loyalty, which I think he might have as Gerrard had at Liverpool, where he just might, But if he could be priced away for that money, that would be my main man because he's the best. Like that would be my shout.
For 100 million,
Calum, what about you?
for 100 million, you have to get a world class forward who can replace Salah, and then bearing in mind, we need another centre half because from the way we've talked about it, we only have Virgil, Gomez, and Kabak. So you need another centre half too. So
Do you know what the reason I wanted to do this, lads? The reason I wanted to do this was to show you how difficult the rebuild is. It's very, very difficult. You saying about signing Harry Kane, be a great signing. Fair enough, it would be. It doesn't solve any other issues in the squad. It might sort out your front line.
Yeah.
But again, it doesn't. It doesn't. The other problems are still there. The one player I think Liverpool should be looking at is Jack Grealish. So he's very different to what he's having on the field. He can beat a man. He's very creative. He's got that swagger. Again, he probably cost 70, 80 million, maybe more.
Yeah.
But if he's got any way to generate cash,
Madison, I was looking at too,
But Grealish plays a man.
Leicester.
Hey, Madison. Harvey Barnes will be another one you could be looking at.
Good players. But he's hey,
Ryan Hamilton saying Harry Kane wouldn't go to Liverpool because
the problem we have with Grealish, Gareth, that's their money, man. That's their Salah. That's where they're going to get their big money. So they're not going to sell for cheap.
Ryan Hamilton saying Harry Kane wouldn't go to Liverpool because of no Champions League football. That's a United fan having a wee bit of a dig. But
just calm your horses, Ryan. Yep, you never know.
There's still a chance. Lads, just to finish off, I'm going to give you a couple of questions. Mark, no top four, no top six. Jurgen Klopp still a man who lead the club forward. Yes.
Yeah.
Can the club win the Champions League?
Yes.
Calum, same to you. No top four, no top six, no Champions League. Is Klopp still a man?
Yes.
Can the club win the Champions League?
They can, but what is a different question?
Calum, what does the future hold for Liverpool in the next few months? Between now and May, between now and the end of the next transfer window, what does the future hold for you? Let's summarize. Let's just say what's going to happen in your ideal world. What do you think?
What I think is going to happen, I think we'll miss out on top four. I think it'll be. I know it's only 5 points, but I think it's Chelsea and Man United not dropping points. Leicester have a hard game, so they're the only team you could drag out of it. I don't think we'll get top four. So that's what my head's saying. We are forming in the league, and then Champions League, we have every chance. It's a knockout tournament. The experience we have, the players there. Can we win it? We can win it. I don't know. My heart's saying we will win it, but I don't think my head is at the minute.
Oh, come on, I want an answer. I don't want to hear heart and head. I want to hear a proper answer. Come on.
No, I don't think we'll win the Champions League.
Right. Mark, same question to you. What does the future hold for Liverpool Football Club? The next couple of months, how the season finishes, Jurgen Klopp, the future, what's going to happen between now and the next transfer window for you?
Well, I think regardless, I also hope the Klopp stays. I'm just going to have to go with Calum on the top four. I think we've had our chances. Hopefully I'm wrong. I just hope and pray to God I'm wrong. And they top off and maybe get us out of jail as they won the Champions League. I think they can win it. I think they can win it because
I don't want to hear. I think we've had all that. I want to hear now. Are we going to win it or not? Who's can Liverpool? Are Liverpool going to win the Champions League, Mark?
Liverpool will win the Champions League.
Great way to finish the show.
All right.
Jurgen Klopp's going to rescue Liverpool this season, won the Champions League. He's going to give investment in the summer and everything. Tell him, Marcus, your 32nd morning now. Tell him all now he's watching. It's going to be all right.
Keep the faith. You'll never walk alone, and it'll be the best is yet to come, lads.
Lads, thanks very much. Great show. Really enjoyed it. I want to thank everybody for their comments who's come in. Apologies for me and the lads. I've had a few beers as well, so probably getting to the stage where we're a bit tipsy. But No, I really enjoyed the show. Great input from the lads, and we're going to be doing a lot more specials like this as well. Possibly a United special as well coming up between now and then. But look, lads, thanks very much. Liverpool are one of the worst in the Champions League. There's no doubt about it. David McGuinness saying great show, lads. Thanks very much. Comments were brilliant, lads. Great input.
Cheers,
How
Dave.
about Ireland? Coming up on the show, we've got Emmett Little on this week, another big Liverpool fan. We're going to be looking at the top 4 running, the big fixtures between all the teams: Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, West Ham, Everton, for example. All them teams' fixtures, trying to analyse what's going to happen between now and the season. And we're going to have meets Kieran Preston making his debut next Friday night against Doc, Arsenal, Liverpool next Friday night. The big one, Arsenal, Liverpool next week. Gareth McGuinness saying great show. Thanks for everyone that's watched, and I'll see you again.
Thanks,
Cheers,
guys.
Dave.